All right, everybody, welcome back to the Jordan Report. I am your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, it should be quite apparent to everybody by now that the Democratic Party is controlled by at least 3 Jewish billionaires. 3 that we know of. It could be more in the background. But we know Tom Steyer, we know Mike Bloomberg, and of course the most famous would be George Soros. Now, we also know that Democrats cannot get into power without black people voting for them at a high rate, 90%, 95%. This is what they need to get into power. And this is why every election they spend so much time inciting and motivating black people to vote. Now, here's another one of their tricks. And sometimes they don't care if it's legal or not legal. They don't care. And so here's another one of their tricks Bloomberg is trying down in Florida. I'm going to show you a quick clip after this to show you how none of this is legal. None of this can be done. Mike Bloomberg's team re-enfranchises 32,000 felons in Florida, all of whom are black or Latino. I mean, just how cynical can you be, man? A clever bit of gamesmanship by Democrats who otherwise been thwarted in their attempt to return Florida's many hundreds of thousands of felons to the voter rolls in time for the election. In 2018, Floridians passed a constitutional amendment that restored the right to vote to anyone who had been convicted of a crime other than murder or a sexual offense. That would have put a gigantic number of new voters in play, many of them poor and minorities, in a state that Trump won by little more than 100,000 votes 4 years ago. Okay, you see the trick here? Mike Bloomberg has vowed to spend $100 million in Florida to try to get Biden over the top, much of which will go to advertising and TV projects. But he and his team have had a bright idea. What if they looked through the long list of felons with outstanding debts and just paid off the debts for people who owe only a small amount of money? And what if instead of helping out every ex-con with a small fine still outstanding, they helped out only those ex-cons who are most likely to vote for Joe Biden, namely black voters and Latinos to a much smaller extent? For the comparatively low price, listen to this, people. For the comparatively low price of $16 million, Team Bloomy may have just added tens of thousands of votes to Biden's eventual total. I wonder how many votes the same amount of money spent on advertising would have flipped, especially given how intense polarization is about Trump. A few hundred, maybe? Okay, so that's what he was trying to get away with. He was trying to buy votes for a very small amount of money. Now, let me show you what they said on Hannity last night. I'm not normally a Fox fan, but this sounded pretty good.
Member of Trump's legal team and also executive director along with his dad at the ACLJ, Jordan Seculo. Matt, we'll start with you. I read your tweet. Okay, you want the investigation. I would agree with you.
In the moments before the show, Sean, I spoke to Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody. She says she is all over this. In fact, I believe there may be a criminal investigation already underway of the Bloomberg-connected activities in Florida. Chapter 104.061 Florida statute says that it is a third-degree felony for someone to either directly or indirectly provide something of value to impact whether or not someone votes. So the question is whether or not paying off someone's fines and legal obligations counts as something of value, and it clearly does. If Michael Bloomberg was offering to pay off people's credit card debts, we would obviously see the value in that. And so when you improve someone's net worth by eliminating their financial liabilities, that is something of value. And then normally it would be very difficult to prove that that was directly linked to impacting whether or not someone was going to vote. But they literally wrote their own admission, Sean, in this document that they used to go fundraise from other people. They said the precise purpose of this fund was to unlock a portion of the black vote in Florida that they believed would go 90 to 95% for Joe Biden. So in this case, I think they've written their own admission. The law is clear. This is something of value. And I am encouraged after my conversation with the Attorney General. I hope we have good law enforcement all over the country looking for the cheating and the tricks that these Democrats are going to try in this election, because I'm starting to get the sense they know Donald Trump's going to win it on Election Day.
Certainly, Jordan, I agree with Matt Gaetz. It's a thing of value, and clearly they've written what their motivation is and what their plan is and what their hope is if they bail you out of your fines or restitution.
Well, Sean, as we've all kind of pointed out, Bloomberg announced why he was going to spend this money in Florida. It was to beat Donald Trump in Florida. And so some of this money is going to bribe people to try and get them to vote a certain way. And as Matt went through the statute, you don't have to go all the way. It's just the attempt. The attempt alone is a crime. So the Attorney General Moody there I'm glad that Congressman Gaetz is in contact with her. We're seeing this across the country. Sean, we're handling, and there's different law firms, but as we represent the president, 10 cases like this where literally it's the Democrat Party and their allies like Bloomberg trying to steal this election and cause chaos on election night, like you mentioned in North Carolina.
Has Mayor Bloomberg now put himself from your legal perspective, in jeopardy, legal jeopardy?
He has potentially put himself in legal jeopardy. He's got the Florida Attorney General. He's got Congressman Gaetz. He's got people. He's got statutes that look like they apply directly to this. And like the congressman said, he told people when he was fundraising for this why he was doing it, to get votes for Joe Biden. So right there is the criminal issue that Mayor Bloomberg is potentially going to face. And he then, previous to this, he announced he was going to go spend, all of this money just to try and take Florida from Donald Trump. It's happening across the country, though, with this mail-in ballot stuff, with the courts. The Democrat Party is going all out to cause election chaos and fraud.
Matt Gaetz, do you also see a potential federal case here, maybe something that the Attorney General Bill Barr would look into?
Well, state elections are typically managed by state election officers, but in this case, Florida actually has a RICO statute that mirrors the federal statute. So even if Michael Bloomberg is not directly involved in an exact bribe under the state's RICO statute, the right hand doesn't always have to be connected to the left hand's activities, but if they're part of the same criminal enterprise, and if the underlying predicate criminal act is quite literally paying off someone's financial legal obligations, because if you do that, they will vote for Joe Biden. It is directly in the target of this statute. Fortunately, in Florida, we've got good law enforcement officers like Ashley Moody as the Attorney General who will pursue it. I worry about what Jordan said all around the country. I'm probably most worried about Pennsylvania.
All right, guys. That's what's going on in Florida. They're trying it again. This is going to be a very, very nasty election.